Welcome to Birds in the Sky, the podcast where we explore how making art and music can be powerful tools for boosting mental health and well-being. Whether you're an artist, a musician, or simply someone looking for new ways to nurture your mind, we'll dive into creative practices, share inspiring stories, and uncover how the act of creating can lead to healing, self-discovery, and growth. Tune in and let your creativity carry you forward. I'm your host, Matthew Crane. Let's fly. Today we have Brandon Berry, a songwriter, musician, and director from Buffalo, New York. We've worked on a ton of different projects together. The Albrights was an indie rock band, Erie Lackawanna Railroad, a string bluegrass band kind of thing, and even some barbershop quartets and some musicals, the Music Man.
Musical theater, yeah.
Yeah, the Music Man to be specific in that one. Anyways, Brandon, you're an amazing songwriter, right? You're a fantastic guitar player, and you found your way into theater. I just want to kind of ask, at this point in your life, you've been making art and creating for so long, as long as I've known you. So where did you kind of start that journey? Where did you find yourself first being, we'll start with music, being taken over by a song?
Let me actually start with, since you brought it up, and it's a good memory for me, is the barbershop quartet, which I actually wasn't a part of because I had a different role. But I bring that up because that was one of my favorite things about that show, was something that wasn't even on stage, is when you, four of you guys, you, Joe, Matt, and David, Bondro, every day, because you have to, like sometimes multiple times, but when you'd warm up for that barbershop quartet and you'd go in the bathroom and close the door, and there's a video of it because sometimes I'd go in with you, or sometimes I would just listen, and just because I loved, and I put it on the floor while you guys were doing it, because I just loved it. I had no part of it. I just loved watching you guys do it. I loved hearing it. I loved the way it made me feel. I loved the way that it went through me. So I just wanted to be a part of it somehow. So I just always was just around when you guys, I tried to be around when you guys would do it because I liked watching you guys. And I think that speaks to your question, kind of like going all the way back, is just I love the things I love, and I love how those things are made, and I love being behind the scenes of that thing, and I love watching the gears turn and who's turning the gear or what's turning the gear, how it's being turned. Like, I don't know. I just...
Like a creative engineer. You want to know what's going on and how the whole production is being created. Yeah.
And if you remember, like when we were in the Albrights, Joe had always been like front and center for like a long time. Excuse me. And then a while you guys suggested that I go center, and so Joe could have like more room with the piano and stuff. That's never been my intent ever, I don't think. Maybe when I was younger, like I wanted to be a rock star, that whole thing, and like be on stage and do the music videos in front of a million people. But when you get older, it's like that, I think, is more of who I am. So like back to the Albrights, like I didn't look for that. I always just liked being part of the machine that puts it out. And yeah, like in theater, like I like having my little roles sometimes, like of course, like there's always time for a spotlight to be shown on you, and while still being humble, like, you know what I mean?
So going back though, when you were a kid, little baby Brandon Berry, what's going on? How did you find your way to music?
Well, I think us being children of the millennium, millennials, I think that has a decent deal to do with it because, at this point, like half of our lives were analog, basically, right? So like a lot of my time early on was spent listening to music, which either my mom was listening to or my grandfather was playing. He played ukulele and sang, and he was born in 1912. And
So we played all that old-timey good stuff.
all the old-timey good stuff, like
Yeah.
ragtime, like 30s type music.
Nice.
And when he was younger, him and his buddies like traveled down to New York City and played there too. And so I've always had music around me, and it's just sort of been ingrained in me, I think, from when I was younger. So, and I think that's where it started, is because I just wanted to. I remember being young, probably under 10, and having my own radio show because I had a cassette recorder.
Nice.
And I would record the songs from the radio that I liked, but then do bits in between. And like I would write a script, jokes, whatever 7-year-old, 8-year-old
Yeah,
makes
that's
jokes.
hilarious.
And like there's a giveaway or whatever, and and that was like one of my first.
Why did you do that as a kid? Did it make you feel good? Was it fun?
Yeah,
It was fun.
it was fun, and
Okay.
yeah, well, and a lot of me like so much of the stuff that I spend a lot of time doing is stuff that I want to do, like so music, radio. Like when I was younger, radio was obviously a huge thing. Like we didn't have the Spotify and all that stuff, and
There
there
was
were
no
CDs.
YouTube. Yeah.
No, I mean we were listening to cassettes, and records, basically my mom's records. But I was always just like, this is great. This makes me feel a certain way, and it makes me feel good, but that's not enough. Mm-hmm. I think is this like, that's okay. This is awesome, but it feels like there's supposed to be more. Like, where's the rest of it? Like, not in a bad way. Not like it's not like you're not like yearning for something, but you're just like, there's more to this. You just know. I just
Is
feel
that
like
how you got into like playing guitar?
Right.
And that's the transition there?
yeah, it's like, well, how do I make this something that I can do? And it's like I said, when you know it. It's not like when you're in school that like, well, no, it is like if you're in school and like if somebody likes math or something, you know what I mean, or like science, and I find whatever, I was okay at those things, but I didn't have a passion for it. I wasn't like, I love science, but there needs to be more of this. Like, I'm sure that's how engineers become engineers, or what I'm saying? Like, so it just went from me plunking around on my grandfather's like ukulele and stuff, and he had actually an old like stand-up piano in the garage and he was a self-taught musician as well. I not entirely self-taught, but
Can I interrupt and go back to that young Brandon with the radio shows and your mom's records and stuff? Do you remember any particular artists or songs specifically that you were like obsessed with as a kid?
Well, yeah. The first thing that comes to mind, honestly, I will get to music because there is a lot, but one of the big things with records was the Eddie Murphy Comedian album, but it was the one where he was in the black leather. But I think on the album,
Either raw or bad. I'm not sure.
yeah,
which
it is.
one.
It's either raw or no, it's Delirious.
Is it Delirious?
Yeah, it's Delirious, the one with the black leather. And I think
Okay.
the other raw is with the red leather.
Red leather, yeah.
But I would hear my mom talk about some of the jokes on Eddie Murphy's album with like some of her friends. And she would say some of it to me, like, because I'd ask, like, what are you talking about? Like, what's so funny? They would laugh about it. And she would tell me, like, a watered-down version, like, of what but I'm like, yeah, but I want to hear the real thing. So, like, when they would go go to the grocery store, I'd be like, whoop, bloop, and, like, listen to the whole thing myself.
Yeah.
But, no, music...
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to bring up comedy in a moment. But
Yeah.
Early song artist, something like that influenced you heavily.
There was a lot of golden oldies 104 stuff
Right.
that got me really interested. Obviously, the Beatles being one of them, but like stuff like not obscure, but stuff you don't hear as much anymore, like Eleanor by the Turtles, which we
Okay.
covered
Yes,
in
yes.
Albright's, and that's kind of why I wanted to play that song. 'Cause that's like,
Interesting. I didn't know that that was one of the early ones. You just always picked good music from that decade that you wanted to play.
Yeah.
I never really knew too much of the backstory. But
that was one of them. It was, and the reason why I think that one definitely stuck out is because my backyard at the house we were living in when I was younger butted up to another backyard, and we had like just a regular fence, not like a wooden, and the woman who lived there was named Eleanor, and I would always think of her when that song came on when I was younger.
Got it. Word association.
Yeah. Yeah, but so that's a big one that sticks out. Stuff like that. And,
Turtles, the Beatles, stuff like that.
Like a lot of the British Invasion. Beatles were huge. The Beatles that's the band that I was like, okay, there needs to be something else.
There's some kind of witchcraft in these harmonies and in the songwriting, right? Yeah, it's pretty immaculate.
And do you remember when the anthologies came out in 1996?
Yes.
My family, I think I may have told you this a long time ago, I was maybe 12, I think, when that came out. So when me and my cousins were all younger, 12 and under, basically, every Christmas Eve, we'd do that whole traditional, everybody gathers around, and the uncles and my parents got stuff for all the cousins. We didn't do that anymore because everybody's grown up, but for a while, it was really a really, really nice thing. Like, we would have everybody open presents, and it was just it was chaos, So that year, I got one gift. Well, I think I got like few gifts. I got only like one or two because all my uncles and aunts and my parents pitched in and got me the 6 CD set of the anthology, and that is like, I'd say, like the crowning achievement of presence in my life, because it it was the Kickstarter for so much. Like, when I say I would immerse myself in those anthologies, it's no exaggeration. I would playing games on like the computer at the time. I had like pinball. You remember the Windows? Anything, like out of my room, in my headphones. And because it wasn't just the music in the anthology, there was like talk between whether it was when he was still alive, their manager Brian Epstein, or the four of them talking, or it was George Martin talking back with them, or them cracking a joke, or them fucking being high as hell during and Your Bird Can Sing and laughing their asses off.
Yeah, it's that intimate inclusion into their world.
Yeah, I wanted to be there, and there was nothing. There still isn't. There's no feeling that can fulfill that. Like, you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to go be friends with them. I wanted to go, it's absolutely not possible ever, never.
But
you're
forming a relationship with the music, with their music, right? And that's pretty powerful. Let's double back to comedy. Because when we would do short regional tours or drive to Texas, or we'd be on the road a lot as a young working indie band, and we didn't really listen to that much music between cities. It was always stand-up comedy,
or Tenacious D,
which is a wonderful blend of both.
Yeah.
But I remember you playing like Bill Hicks and Bill Burr, and we'd go on long Mitch Hedberg rants and stuff like that, and Norm Macdonald, and there's just so much comedy in that. And I always fail to bring comedy up when I'm talking about the arts. And to me, which is ironic, because to me, comedy is, I would put it as the highest and purest form of creative expression in art. Because to command...
the rawest, I'd say.
Yeah, to command an entire audience by yourself, that's like, at least when we have an instrument with us, there's a little bit of mysticism involved, but...
Well, and there's other people on stage.
Right.
And we can share it, and like it could bounce off each other, but when you
can't blame the bass player for slowing down or the drummer for rushing, it is your tempo, and I really appreciate it, and that was something that you kind of pushed. You would always want to DJ, and I guess I also always wanted to drive, so that was kind of always helped, but... It was nice listening to comedy on the road. So where does comedy fit into your creative toolbox?
That goes back. It 100% goes back to my mom's Eddie Murphy album when I was a kid, and sneaking it when they were gone, because I was like, "There's hilarious stuff in there, but why can't I listen to it?"
Right.
And I was like, oh,
That's probably why.
oh, I know why now. Oh my, I'm like 6, 7-year-old me. I'm like, oh, these are words that I haven't heard before. Okay, like.
I haven't heard these two words put together.
Yeah, like, oh my God. But I think because I listened to it that young, I got over that initial shock of it and like became sort of insensitive. Or is that the
desensitized?
Yeah, insensitive. But yeah, like desensitized to the like shock value of anything like that. So ever since that, I've always, and I was always big on comedy movies when I was younger too. You know, like, yeah, I mean, Tommy Boy and Black Sheep are '90s movies. That was when we were preteens, or yeah, like all that kind of stuff. And I just, in Saturday Night Live, like we grew up in a time where, you know, I was around, we were that early 90s, mid 90s to late 90s Saturday Night Live. I still watch it to this day. But that was super formative.
Oh yeah.
Super formative to like see these people do what they do. And I didn't understand at that age, like how it worked or like, you know, they gotta write this stuff in a week, barely. And like a lot of them not sleeping and like.
So you were probably intrigued in that process, being that you were putting together radio shows via cassette as a 7-year-old. That makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I would watch the show, but not necessarily think at all about any of those details. I just knew that like Mike Myers made me pee my pants, and Adam Sandler was the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
and I didn't know why.
Right.
But yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so I love comedy. So and even up until today, like since I think like 2 years ago, I made like a faux resolution, stupid, not really, but I kind of was just like, we need to see more comedy. Like people were going through a rough time. My wife and I and our family weren't going through a great time, like with family members dying and stuff like that, and just shit happening to people around us basically, and COVID and all that. I'm just like, I need to see more comedy out. Like we need to go and see you know, and I just sort of became even more of a nerd into comedy because now I really started following, because after COVID, when these comedians like couldn't perform and they were like kind of losing their minds because like their livelihood was gone, like you have to practice. You can't practice in your living room in front of your dog. Like,
yeah, there's no energy to feed off.
There's no way, except if you're Norm Macdonald and you shoot a special on your frickin', that was crazy.
Well, Norm Macdonald's one of one.
Right.
Was one of one.
Exactly, and he was allowed to do that. But yeah.
Well, comedy is good.
Yeah.
Let's. I got another question for you. And we could probably see our way out on this question, but I have I kind of always thought about this with your songs and your songwriting. And you have kind of two different approaches. Like, I write from like a folky place where I want to tell you a short little story, short little parable. And you often do that as well. But then sometimes you write songs where the lyrics don't seem to be important at all, but the music is that you're not trying to say something with the song, you're trying to make me feel something. And I don't know if that is intentional or if that you even recognize that in yourself. But then there are songs like your smash hit "Hard Times." Great song, mentioned Bernie Madoff. It's great, but that's a song that does both. Like, there's a creative energy in that you really need to be heard. You have thoughts on your mind, you want to share them, but also the music is such a vibe that you want us to feel something too. And in that song, it's kind of a conflicting thing. It's like a very fun boogie kind of like you want to shake and dance a little bit when you're listening to it, but then you're listening to the words and you're like, the American people are being fucked left and right. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you do this intentionally, or is it just when you sit down to write? Like, talk about your creative writing process.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that that's it. Great interview. No, you nailed it. Nailed it. No, yeah, I would say like something like "Hard Times." That just sort of. I knew I mean, "Hard Times" was a long time ago. But,
right, 2008 or 9
yeah,
or so.
But I remember when I wrote it, I wanted to I think the main idea was to kind of claim how passionate I felt about living in Buffalo and like the restoration of Buffalo. I know it doesn't come through like that because that's not the words.
Right.
Because there's a pride in like in like one of the parts where it's like, you know, I got a leaky faucet in my sink that won't come clean.
Yes.
I just thought I wanted to.
That was your place on Elmwood Avenue, right? I
Yeah.
think I remember that sink.
Well, there was literally
It
a
had a
sink.
constant drip on it. And if you've ever lived in the Northeast or any place that has like old plumbing, there's calcium deposits and iron deposits and everything, and kind of can turn your sink bottoms orange if you don't keep them clean. But it was a visceral lyric in that song, and I loved it because I knew exactly what you were talking about.
And I wrote it during coincidentally when you and I were in AmeriCorps together.
Oh, okay.
And I think, no, it's, I felt such a pride and passion for our place where you and I were and what we were doing and like helping.
Through the AmeriCorps program.
Through the AmeriCorps, broad strokes, helping the community.
Right.
Eye roll, but that's what we were, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I was super proud about
No
it.
eye roll. No eye roll.
No,
we
no.
definitely crushed it.
No, I meant like, no, I just
Jumping
meant
forward in
like
time?
the cliche of
Got
like
it. Helping people.
helping people. Like,
Yeah. No, we were boots on the ground.
Yeah, we were boots on
For
the
sure.
ground. And you know, when we went and we
Flood
were fucking
relief, all
deployed
kinds of stuff.
to Silver Creek, man, and
Yeah.
I still am, and it was just that was a special time.
So
I
that
think-
kind of helped guide the writing of Hard Times?
Yeah, is because even though the lyrics come across as sort of cynical, and this is where we are in the country, it's more of like, this is where we are in Buffalo. Like, and that's the other thing too, is that at the time, that was like during the recession, the big recession in
Yeah.
the country. But I remember feeling very strongly like, oh, okay, well, welcome everybody. This is what living in Buffalo is like.
Yeah, or Detroit, or
Yeah.
any
Like,
other Great Lakes.
Oh, you can't buy this anymore. Other people in the country, like people in New York or LA. That's sad. Well, welcome to how we live in Buffalo, because
Yeah.
this is how we are here.
We can't have nice things.
My sink won't come clean. I got a leaky faucet. Like, yep, this is Buffalo. It's like, you know what I mean? I think that's what came from it from Hard Time, was like I was feeling an intense pride and passion in being where we were, and kind of seeing everybody else in the country come down to our level, truly,
Yeah.
because that was really kind of the beginning of Buffalo's resurgence of coming out of the shithole, really. And I don't mean to say that because I do love the city, but like, we weren't in a good spot. You walk down Main Street in the year 2000, it was a shithole. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and to see it, all this stuff coming back in a want and need for community service and support, and yeah, just being all wrapped up in the community like that. And I remember writing it at AmeriCorps, because remember we had those journals. They would have us have journals.
Yes.
I wrote the lyrics to it in the journal, so I would like
Wow.
forget, and because it was in my head, and yeah, but something like that. And then there's.
How about Washingtown? That's another good one. Washingtown. That's kind of around it's the next album later. That's
Yeah.
the Albright's self-titled album, available on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere else you get your digital music. But Washingtown was great, kind of in the same vein as Hard Times. Like, did you kind of write it in from a similar place?
Yeah, the chorus came first. Pay the tax, raise the taxes, write the checks, get it there on time, and if you don't lay down for them, then you won't get a dime.
Got it.
That actually came first. And then I was like, and it came out fast. Like, it was just like, I think I had like I was saying before, like I had like the first line or two, and then as I wrote it down, I heard it all starting come, not the actual words, but I heard like the formations of it starting to happen in my head.
Maybe
I'm
the
like,
syllables first and
Yeah.
the rhythm.
So then I was like, oh, and that chorus gave me the inspiration to write the whole rest of the song. And at the time, like, the second verse in there, there's a friend I know who lives in Washington. It's basically can't get married.
Right.
Gay married, because gay marriage wasn't legal at that point.
Right. People were they cared a lot about it.
Yeah. Because it's everybody else's business. But that it was coming from that kind of place. Like,
Sure.
what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
We have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
We have real problems.
But, we can't really do much unless, as long as we pay our tax, even though we pay our taxes and you're a good American, there's like, it still doesn't pay off.
Right.
Like, that's what I think, like, the anger was coming
We've been
from.
got.
Like, yeah.
We got.
Yeah. And I think, like, the intensity of the music, we kind of did that purposely.
It was fun to play from the bass. The bass part's really fun, and a lot of open strings, and it was really just like had a thick, in-your-face stomp to it.
The punk ending, like that was intentional.
Tear your eyes out now.
Tear your eyes out, yeah.
Or was that Washington?
No, we're gonna. That's what. We're gonna. They're gonna tell you lies right now. They're gonna tear your eyes out.
Yeah.
But that one, yeah, for sure. But there's other stuff like I think what came to mind when you were talking about it was "Pretty Flower," where it's just like where it's like I write songs. I only write songs because I want to duplicate the emotion that I felt and feel with my own consumption of art and music. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, it's the only way I know how to do it, is like instead of telling people like, you know what I mean? Like, I get this feeling from listening to this song, from listening to this harmony, from hearing this chord progression. I need to not duplicate exactly what it is. Sometimes I do. That's why I play cover songs. I love it because I need to I need to do something with that.
Yeah, dopamine is dopamine. Your brain, your body doesn't care how it gets it.
Yeah, so like I think
which is a slippery slope.
I think I just try to replicate. I think that's why that comes through. Is because I'm putting my actual like core feelings into it,
right? And
wanting to
make a thing.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. It's cool that you say that because like it's like that's what I if anything that's what I would want to anybody to take away from anything that I create is just the feeling that I got or I get when I see something that gets my dopamine flowing. Like I want to make somebody else's do that too, and because someone was kind enough to do that for me.
For sure.
And I think of it like that, kind enough. Like I think of it like you put something out there. Like I have a bunch of your paintings. It's because it's the same thing. It's less like I love it, and you put that out there for us, and like I want to be a part of it. Like
available MatthewCraneStudios.com. Shop now.
Can't take the bull one because I have it.
Thanks for the plug. I have prints of the bull.
The prints, yeah, but not the real thing.
Yeah, that's true. Two more songs, and then I'll let you go as my hostage here. Over and Over, as a gorgeous, gorgeous song, and then I'm going to talk about Goodbye Adeline, but Over and Over, it's a beautiful arrangement on our second record, and it's a very tender Brandon Berry kind of arrangement with strings, and it's very beautiful harmonies and stuff with Joe Donahue. Talk about that song, and then kind of like where did you hear strings with it initially?
Yeah. That's a lot of things. Over and Over is a lot of things.
You don't have to get into the nitty gritty.
No, but it's to your point. It's a lot of emotion in that song. And the emotion there's actually a couple things. Right around when I wrote that is when Amy Winehouse died.
Check.
And I was definitely feeling some type of way about that because I had been listening to her, like I had been getting into her music. Like I had gotten into her music a little bit late.
Well, we covered a lot of her tunes in the band.
Yeah, and I was feeling very somber about that. But in the one verse, I allude to her in a couple times during like the I drank my wine, I'm falling now.
Got it.
I
never knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's why we're doing these interviews. I've lived in a van with this guy for years. I didn't know that.
No, that was my nod to her. But no, I was sort of like meditating on that, I think, and I had come up with this really nice sounding chord when you tune the top string down to D, and I put a capo on the 5th fret, and I was playing around with just that droney open. Well, it would be I think it was a G.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, I really like how that sounds. And then I turned the last string down to D as well.
So you had a nice open tuning.
Yeah.
But capoed up nicely. Yeah, it's a gorgeous chord.
Yeah, and I was like, and I was messing with that, and I remember, and and this sounds cheesy too, but something just took over, and I started moving my pinky around like, and then the melody finished in my head, and I was like, oh shit, and then I had to find the note that I was hearing, and I'm like, oh my god, I have a phrase here, and
Nice.
I was like, holy crap, and just like. When I started with that, I think like and I remember playing it really fast, a lot faster than we were playing it now, but I was just getting my emotion out as I was doing it, and it felt so fucking good.
You probably didn't want to lose the idea either, so
yeah.
like get it out, and so muscle memory gets a hold of it.
Yeah, and I remember like recording it on my phone or something or on the computer, and it's got to be around somewhere, but it's very fast. It still sounds, you know what I mean? It sounds somber, but it's just a lot faster. But it's just because I was like very emotional in getting it out. I remember like just, I don't know. I was just getting it all out, and then the words just, I mean, it's just very like syllabic, like or like vowel. Like there's a lot. It's just vowels basically.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I know vowels.
No, that's one vowel.
There's sometimes Y.
Yeah, man. It was a couple different things. Yeah, it was that. It was some of it was an allusion to just like relationship stuff, like going through like different relationship stuff.
Sure.
And trying to
navigate, make sense of it.
Yeah, and put like an emotion to it.
How about Goodbye Adeline? Because that's got some homage to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's its own thing, which is why I love it so much.
Yeah, Goodbye Adeline happened because I was, that was right around, it was before Oliver or after? I don't know. I think it was before.
We did the play Oliver Twist together.
Yeah. And so my grandfather, which perfect callback here, he has had a couple different ukuleles, like a soprano uke and a tenor ukulele, I think it was. But anyway, the smaller one, he always played a lot. It's always sounded great. And, he passed away when I was, I think in 2006. I was just a little over 20. So I got a lot of his stuff. And I think I had it in my room anyway. Like, it was just sort of, his ukulele had been sitting there like a relic. It wasn't, and then one day it occurred to me when I was at my mom's, I'm like, I'm a musician. Why am I not playing this? Mm-hmm. Why am I not getting, it just struck me one day, like, you idiot. This beautiful instrument sitting right here this whole time. So I'm like, I'm going to teach myself ukulele. And I opened the fucking case, and it's a Martin ukulele.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
it's got its own soul.
Yeah. I was like, how did I not realize this? Like before, you know what I mean? I was like, I was like, holy crap. And then as soon as I saw that it was a Martin, which he must have gotten anywhere between like 1940 and 70. I
Sure.
don't know. Like I still have no idea.
Sure.
It's old. It's really old. I know that. And like once I saw that it was that, I'm like, nope, yep, I have to learn this now. And then I literally taught myself the chords and the strings and all that stuff like that. And I had been listening to a lot of like Johnny Cash. We all had been listening to, I think, a lot of Johnny Cash at the time. And just that style of the, what is it called? The murder ballad. You know,
Murder ballads, yeah.
That was very prominent. I think there's Johnny Cash has a couple. And I
love me a murder ballad.
I've always been inspired and I always sort of laugh at how kind of funny they are, even though they're not supposed to be.
Right.
Because it's just like cowboy trying to be like real sincere, but like you fucking murdered a woman with a pistol. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Trying to play the good guy.
Yeah. So I think that's like, so when I was messing around with the ukulele, I literally heard the chords, and then I started playing them, and I was like, oh, something. What was it? It was something with "Goodbye Adeline" specifically. Like I knew I wanted to have something like but I think I had it in my head as more of like almost like a barbershop-y type thing.
Sure.
Like goodbye. What's that? There's like something that's similar to "Goodbye Adeline," or good. Something like that. I don't know. It's something very similar that's real.
Good Night, Irene.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I like that song. I still like it.
Yeah.
That's at that time I was listening to it a lot, and because the Lead Belly connection with Kurt Cobain and the song that he does at the end of Unplugged, where were you sleep?
In the Pines.
Where did you sleep last night? That's where it came from.
Got
it's because
it.
I wanted to do like a Goodnight Irene type thing, but not Irene.
Right.
And all those things at once, like the listening to Cash, Goodnight Irene, finding my grandfather's uke, learning how to play it. It was like
Nirvana Unplugged.
And doing Oliver with all that stuff. Like I don't know, I forgot which came first, but
Yes, it was a perfect amalgamation.
it was it was like it hit at the exact right time that it should have. And we like been playing it to this day, which is crazy.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. This, again, is Brandon Berry, very talented songwriter, singer, musician, all-around artist, actor, director, Buffalo, New York. This is Birds in the Sky podcast. I am your host, Matthew Crane. Stick around for next time. Make sure you mash that subscribe button. Smash it. Don't actually smash your laptop, though. That would be bad, right? Yeah, no, we don't want you to do
Unless
that.
you got Apple Care.
Unless you got Apple Care, then smash it away.
I didn't see anything.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Cheers.